Hey, everybody. Welcome to Used to Be a Spy. This is our Burn Notice podcast. We're going to watch every episode of Burn Notice, hopefully, unless one of us gets burned and we can't watch the show. I'm producer Dave, and I'll have rotating co-hosts with me every week, some of whom have never seen the show, like my co-host this week, and some of whom are going to be fans of the show, probably like my co-hosts next show. We're aiming for 2, maybe 3 of these a month. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm producer Dave, and we'll start with a lady second, I suppose.
I'm the Media Wench. You can find me on Blue Sky at themediawench.bluesky.social. You can find me on Instagram as Ouija Queen. If you don't know how to spell Ouija, I don't want you following me. And I don't know. Anyways, I've never seen this show. Producer Dave has been telling me to watch it for about 10 years now. So now he's finally forced me into it by making it a podcast.
What's up, everyone? This is the Councilman, veteran of numerous Echoplex shows, including, of course, Down Ballot, which can be heard almost every Tuesday night live at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Shameless plug. Yes, I, much like the Media Wench, I have never experienced Burn Notice prior to being asked to be on this show. Although the good wife, I will point out, is an avid fan and follower and would absolutely love to be on your panel for the episode 2 or any episode, really. There are 120. There are only 128 episodes, I think. So, I'm looking forward to joining you, producer Dave, and Media Wench and other potential co-hosts over the next 4 years as we we get to all of these episodes. And can I just give a shout out to this show lasting for 8 seasons and me never seeing an episode before? It's pretty significant accomplishment, especially because of the genre. This is a genre that the good wife loves and is infatuated with him anyways. And so it's surprising to me we have not binged this show before, because we've binged so many shows like it. So very, very excited and looking forward to digging in to all of the themes and the characters and the fun stuff that goes with being what must have been a very popular show to have lasted 8 years.
Like a bit of a cult classic, had a bit of a cult following. It was on USA, so the bar was set fairly low, I suppose. So we have some themes we're going to look out for during each episode. I think we may eventually end up pre-recording this part so that it's even less work for us to do during the show, because the one lady here is really good at doing like voice recording stuff for things like podcasts. But I can do it this week. So the things we're going to look out for, each of these things is not going to be in every episode, but as a fan of Burn Notice, these are things that happen all over and over and over again. First of all, because USA called it Characters Welcome during this time, the first one is Characters Welcome. And were there any cool guest stars? We're not asking if there were guest stars. Were any of the guest stars cool? Did you notice anybody? Was anyone besides Fiona hitting on Michael? Or maybe was everyone besides Fiona hitting on Michael? Was Marilyn, was she manipulating people yet? Probably not in the first episode, but we might have caught some of that in this episode. Did they do any terrorism, just generally during the episode? Like, is there anything here that would have violated the Patriot Act? You got them thrown in like Guantanamo Bay. We got one called Magic Mike. Were there any plot holes where it just kind of wasn't explained how Michael did something or got out of some situation? All of a sudden they just cut to another scene and he's somewhere else. And you're like, all right, I guess so. We got Collateral Damage. Did any random bystander just get their life fucked up because they ran into these people? We got, was Sam Axe extra horny at any point? And we're, as we see during his first introduction, extra horny. We're setting the bar a little bit high here, especially on Miami Beach. Do they have any really bad OPSEC? This is the last one. Did they do anything that wasn't very spy-like or would definitely get you caught if you were actually trying to avoid detection? So, and instead of like trying to like go through these and figure out what happened, I figured the best way to do it is just to do an episode synopsis, and either I'll break in or my co-hosts can break in when they haven't, when they noticed that stuff, or just anything else really that they thought was dumb, interesting, funny, or they're just like, I haven't talked for a while, so I'm going to talk about this. So this is episode 1. This is the pilot. It opens in Warri, Nigeria. Michael is standing on a street corner in a bad suit looking around, which is what you do when you're a spy. Everyone else in the scene is looking around too for some reason. I don't know if did either of you notice that just everybody was just looking around like it was obvious something was going to happen?
Yeah, and also like Nigeria is a really kind of a weird place for the jump. That's a real weird place.
I think they explain it later in the episode or whatever, but yeah, I think that, and because if you think about it, this was like what 15 years ago, and so it was still like kind of war on terror time, and I think they were trying to say that Al Qaeda was in now moving to Africa. I don't know if that it could be the case, but I mean, it could have started anywhere. That's interesting that you mentioned that, because one of the plot holes that I found earlier has to do with Nigeria. Like, how did this happen?
Well, I find it interesting only in as much as looking at it visually, right? I'm a screenwriting major, but I also was taught in that work that is the film is a visual medium, right? So yes, you can be great with dialogue, which I found myself to be, and probably a little too much so, but you also have to be able to express yourself visually and express what you're trying to get across visually. And in that first visual of the entire show, this is the first thing you're seeing of anything on this show, right? This is the pilot. They've thought about this many, many times, and committees poured over, like, how do we start this show, right? It's a white dude in a sharkskin suit in the middle of a Nigerian marketplace where he's not only surrounded by people who are not at all dressed like him, but are absolutely the entire opposite, color of him. And just, he stands out like the proverbial sore thumb, or the in this case, the fleck of salt in the sea of pepper, right? So for lack of a better analogy. So anyway, I found it very striking that was the choice. It could have been like Moscow. It could have been like Cold War style. It could have been, or somewhere in Europe, or somewhere more, or East Asia, Hong Kong or Singapore.
Right, because the first baddie that we come up on is Russian.
Right. So and there wasn't necessarily that tie-in. Like, I think producer Dave's thought about the Al Qaeda, that it was absolutely at that time still in the late aughts, as they used to call them, right? The thousands. So that was certainly prevalent at the time, but it didn't seem like that's the case here. This really was just sort of like there's some Russian thugs and gangsters doing business in Nigeria because it's a wide open, crazy criminal marketplace.
I think all the other people were looking around because they spotted Michael in the suit, and they're like, "Oh shit, there's spy shit. Spy shit is about to happen.
Something's about to go down.
Which is what you don't want. You don't want that as a spy, as Michael will explain over and over again in all these episodes.
Sure. Well,
he tells us he's standing there on the corner, sticking out like a sore thumb. That being a covert operative involves a lot of waiting. It's like being in your dentist office, except in your dentist office, looking through the magazines and whatnot. Except every so often someone tries to kill you. This show has a lot of these spy tips. And I was going to maybe do the spy tips, but I went and found another Burn Notice rewatch podcast called Burn Noticed, which is such a good name. And I listened to a few episodes and they went over the spy tips. So I figure like people should go listen to that because they do a good job of going over the spy tips. They'll come up a little bit, but we're trying to do different show than theirs, but I do recommend their show. It's very funny, especially like you watch the episode, right? Then you listen to their show about Burn Notice, which is a good show. And then you listen to our show about Burn Notice, which is, I guess, a show about Burn Notice.
But again, we're going to pour over this a lot since it is the pilot. But the voiceover was also a moment when I realized, when it started up, when I understood that this is not you might call a straight action thriller drama series. This is very much a tongue-in-cheek, lighthearted farce of a spy show, right?
Right.
It comes into much. I'll go into it later because it comes into clarity in a couple scenes later. But again, from the jump, they've thought about this a lot. This is the pilot, right? They didn't just like come up with this stuff like, hey, we need another storyline for this season. No, this is the very first show that they pitched to the network, the USA network executives, right? And they're like probably greenlighting everything at that point. Like, yeah, great, cable TV, it's the thing. Let's do more shows. So they've thought about this a lot. So anyway, as soon as you hear that voiceover too, it's like, oh, it's that seasoned Humphrey Bogart going back to like the Maltese Falcon, right? And the Sam Spade kind of like private eye genre. That's an archetype that has flowed through Hollywood and TV throughout. So it's really
forever.
They're nodding to that, and they're saying, yes, we understand that we're part of that tradition, and here's our fun take on it.
So he's standing there. He gets picked up in a Mercedes by dudes with guns. In the car, they keep their guns trained on him as they're sitting. The scene's kind of funny. They're sitting. He's like all in the middle, like a child sitting in the middle seat. They just keep calling him CIA. They just keep calling him CIA, which isn't untrue, I guess. Then we cut to Boris, because there's this joke in The Wire about every Russian guy being Boris. Even one of the Russian guys in the interrogation room like flips a table because he's like, everybody's Boris. My name's not Boris. But Boris is like, oh, it's his wannabe warlord, right? Because they have these like chyrons that come up for people. And right. he's got a babe, of course, with her arm around him. But he's a wannabe warlord. And he was very stereotypical. Boris also refers to Michael as CIA. Michael says he's there to give Boris $750,000, which was some real money in 2008, to stop blowing up oil refineries. Today, that'd be at least a cool $5 million. When Michael calls to get the money transferred, the person on the other end says, "We got a burn notice on you. You're blacklisted." And fun fact, that's also Michael West. That's also Jeffrey Donovan's voice on the other side of the phone. He's the voice actor for that.
Oh, interesting.
He done burned himself.
I know, but well, yeah. That also just very quickly, like right into it. We're into the point of the show, right? The whole premise of the show, from basically the first scene or first couple scenes, right? There's not like an extended lead in of seeing him doing his spy thing.
No, they try to drop you right in the action. Right.
So you're right in the midst of you're basically in his head because you've just been dumped into the situation yourself as the viewer. So yeah, you're just dropped right into the mess with him, so you're kind of like figuring your way out with him. It's a fun tool.
Go ahead.
When they drop you in like this, it's in the middle of a situation. It's because the context doesn't matter. It's just a vehicle for the outcome.
And you said it puts you in his head as you watch more and more of this show. His head is not really a great place to be. Actually.
No, I can tell just from no.
Are you saying there's like some baggage going on here?
There are ways in which I identify with the main character of this show, obviously.
Yeah. So this is just the first episode. We're just dealing with the carry-ons.
So when they determine that their money isn't forthcoming, Boris's henchmen start beating Michael while repeating CIA while he's on the ground. Michael recommends in a situation like this, you should probably lie. He tells Boris that and the henchmen that he could take them to the money. He was going to rip them off, but now he's had a change of heart. And so for some reason, Boris agrees with his plan, and his two henchmen walk Michael through the lobby with guns pointing at him. Michael's bleeding only from his mouth, spitting blood on the hotel lobby floor. Michael says he needs the bathroom so he doesn't barf in the Mercedes, and nobody in the hotel lobby seems to notice that any of this is happening.
Yeah, they're like, we're familiar with the warlords. This happens all the time.
Yeah, this is pretty standard South Nigerian shit, right? Kind of like how everyone's looking around in that first scene. It's because they're all kind of used to it, right? Like this is the name of the game in our town. Like we're the place where people go to do their nefarious terrorist shit, their crimes. So although you would think, but we're from a different context where a dude just get all bloody and beat up and scrambling through a hotel lobby is like a thing, maybe, but maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. I try to think about how I would react.
I mean, how long has he been in Wari, Nigeria, and how much has he pissed off the locals through his just like overall demeanor?
Sure. Well, I could also just see people keep to themselves, right? Like, oh, that guy's having a bad day. Well, tough on him. I'm just going to go over here and get on the elevator and get. I
mean, this might be one of those kind of places where you didn't see nothing.
Yeah. What I see?
Again, the context of the setting. I don't think that the people that were surrounding the incident are much fazed by something that is quite that tame.
Right. So. Right. So. They take him to the bathroom. Michael tells us that in a fight, you should be careful not to break the bones in your hands. And the bathrooms are good in this scenario because there's a lot of hard surfaces. He proceeds to whoop their asses, smashing one guy's head into a urinal. The camera just switches to the bathroom entrance and you hear two gunshots. Obviously, he already just fucking murdered two people, which, right. I mean, I would have too. Fuck it. They were taking,
well, you have to. you have to keep them from coming after you. I mean, they're knocked out. That's one thing, but like they'll just get up and come after you at some point. So, and you want to remove as many henchmen from the potential mob coming after you as possible, right? So if you can just cap them while they're down, why not?
Yeah. Also, nobody seems very concerned about the loud, echoey gunshots in the bathroom in the lobby either.
Oh, that was the bathroom right here. I thought that was just like on the street or outside.
Really?
That was a hotel bathroom.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. I thought that was from my room.
Tourist spa.
Yeah.
Oh, luckily my room's all the way across the hotel and up a couple floors. I don't actually hear the executions in the bathroom. You gotta know where to stay, and that's that's something comes up later about a hotel and where you stay in the hotel too, which is kind of funny.
You gotta know what you're listening for.
So Michael leaves the bathroom after assassinating 2 people and proceeds to steal a dirt bike. He's apologizing, tells its owner he'll leave it at the airport. Somehow Boris just has kind of henchmen hanging around the outside of the hotel, and then they notice that Michael had taken off on a dirt bike. So they take chase in this big ass Mercedes. They end up going through a crowded marketplace, at which point, like, this is like dumb that car was even able to begin to keep up with a dirt bike at all. But the Mercedes eventually crashes into like a booth or something in the crowded marketplace. And Michael mentions that they're in the gun running capital of Africa, and that's actually not his favorite place in the world, but it's an okay place to run away from people like Boris's henchmen, because when the car crashes, everybody just starts pointing guns at each other like the Spider-Man meme. Yeah. And then Michael escapes.
And this is the section. This is the segment of the show, the early scenes where you're also getting the character built up around Michael being a cold-blooded killer, right? Like he capped those fools in the bathroom, like didn't have to, but did. And didn't mind that he was making a really loud ass noise while doing it, right? So wanted everyone to know he was capping some fools, so that they wouldn't fuck with him. And then outside just stealing the motorcycle, just like whatever, just like later comes up, right? Just indiscriminately, like, oh, I need that car right there, right? Or I need this motorcycle right now because that'll get me away. I don't care who I have to, hurt or harm to get it. So you're setting him up as this cold-hearted person, but then later, we'll find out that there's more layers to the onion.
Yeah, different kinds of psychopath. Go ahead.
He seems comfortable in his murderiness.
Yes,
but also different kinds of codependent psychopathy at work here too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So here's the first part where I actually had the magic Mike, the plot hole. He arrives at the airport. Men in military garb take the motorcycle, and he gets on a plane. He then crashes out on the plane. How the fuck did he know that? Like, why did the people in the military garb take the motorcycle from him? Did he have a plane ticket? How did he know there was going to be a plane there? Where was the plane going from? That certainly wasn't a nonstop to Miami, right? It's not from Africa.
Did anyone get like the Raiders of the Lost Ark vibe, right? Where Indy gets on the plane and thinks he's safe, and then suddenly, or I forget if that was Raiders of the Lost Ark, but one of them movies, right, where he gets on the plane and he's thinking, oh, I'm safe now. And then suddenly they like throwing him out with no parachute. So I'm like waiting the whole time for that other shoe to drop, but no, it's just like they dropped him off wherever in Miami, wherever
they brought him back conveniently dumped to America without having to go through all of the fucking inconvenient stops and
to the exact
checks along the way.
Yeah, to the exact city where he's supposed. He's apparently, we're going to find out, be locked down too, right? So were they complicit with his handlers who were burning him, and that was like the last thing they had to do, or like? But
it just seems like that was just like a regular flight, because there were like other people, like, you know what I'm saying? It was like a little puddle jumper or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they have like motorcycle valet on the tarmac in some of these fancy South Nigerian airports.
And his VIP status, the systems hadn't updated yet, so that they didn't know that he wasn't a VIP anymore. Maybe.
Right.
They had points.
Exactly.
You got airline points.
Miles. Yeah. He was redeeming his mile.
Frequent murderer miles.
Frequent spy miles. I mean, come on. That's I'd be cashing in on that if I was maybe not the spy, but the agency that was sending them around the world and paying for it. Hell yeah, I'd be taking advantage of the miles. You're going to have to bounce via Jakarta, because we have a business coach plan with U.S. Air, and British Airways. So
without any further explanation, we cut to a cheap hotel, or what's supposed to be like a cheap hotel in Miami. And then we meet Fiona. Fiona's the ex-girlfriend. She's sitting on a chair next to the bed he's crashed out in and kicks him to wake him up. I mean, they must be in love. Apparently, the maid found his wallet, and Fiona was his emergency contact. Fiona says she called Michael's mom, and his mom is glad she's home for Christmas. What the fuck kind of spy keeps an emergency contact in their wallet? What the fuck kind of spy carries a wallet? Like,
one.
Like, if I was a spy and she was my ex-girlfriend, I would keep that in my wallet just as a last fuck you for for these exact situations, right? If like maybe he gets whacked or something, or someone finds his wallet, and like I need to know who to contact for next of kin. Oh, look at this, and she gets drawn into some bullshit later on. It would sort of be like my as a ghost, like,
and one last fuck you.
Right, exactly. Shouldn't have dumped me, bitch.
So Michael gets up. He gets up and he looks out the window and he sees a surveillance team. And he asks Fiona to run interference for him for 10 minutes after he cleans up. And then it just cuts to Michael in a beach area. He talks about most people would like being stuck in Miami, but he just sees it as a security nightmare, mentioning that you can't hide a gun in a bathing suit. Now, it's unfortunate we didn't see what kind of distraction Fiona did on his surveillance team, because as this show goes on, you'll see that she has a flair for the explosive.
Also budget.
Budget. Budget.
Pilot. They gotta keep costs low. Just they never know if they're gonna get picked up, and you don't want to put the producers in a hole.
Do the most with the least, like this network.
Correct.
Yep. So interesting. Like the shots of Miami, like you don't see a lot of women's faces, but you do kind of see their bodies.
Boobies.
See
boobies
a lot of beach
butts
bodies.
And boobies and butts and boobies and butts. I was having a good time. But then again, I'm the straight one on the straight dude on this this panel.
This show's a little horny a lot of the time. So Michael goes to a hotel and asks for a room with no windows, as far from the elevator and close to the exit. This is again like this. I didn't write this, but this seems also like kind of obvious. Like you want to be like just any other patron, especially if you're like wanted. His cards are all declined. So cut to him at the bank. They tell him that his account is locked and it's government related. Michael tells us that when they burn a spy, they take away all his resources. And then the banker, when Michael's like, I want my money, he asks Michael if he'd like to discuss this with the police, and then kind of smiles at Michael. Not sure the banker was flirting with Michael, but probably.
Given what we're going to see unfold later in this show, it seems like everyone's flirting with Michael. Like he's an equal opportunity.
Yeah, the only one that doesn't is his buddy, but that's just because his buddy's not gay. If his buddy was gay, he'd have been all over Mike.
For sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So Michael takes a bus to a park on the beach and gets a free hat from some woman who doesn't seem to know what a payphone is. He's like, you put the money in the phone? Like, dude, this was 2008. Most people didn't have a smartphone yet. Everybody knew what a payphone was.
Yeah.
Then he tries to call his handler from the payphone. His former CIA handler. Let's just say the phone call does not go well, and the person just hangs up on him. Just the receptionist. You don't call the receptionist at the CIA and ask for anyone.
Was that Donovan's mom playing that character on the other end of it?
No. So Michael then goes to a hotel so that if a surveillance team follows them, they'll stick out like a sore thumb. It's basically one of those party hotels. He said, if everybody's, Jello shots short of alcohol poisoning, maybe the feds will stick out like a sore thumb. But the problem is, Michael, so do you, right? Like the feds, now you're easy to find because you're also wearing this bad suit.
Right. He's not like wearing beach shorts and a wife beater and like sunglasses with like blonde tipped hair and shit like they did back then. He's just still walking around like an extra on Miami Vice. Looks like the same. He's still wearing the same suit he got his ass kicked in, if we're being honest.
Completely. I mean, to the point where like the girls who knock on his door or whatever inadvertently, right? They not to jump the shark, but they're like, oh, not you. It's definitely not you I was looking for.
No, but the one girl, remember, again, everybody hits on Michael because the one girl's like, wait
a minute.
Oh, he's kind of hot.
Wait a minute.
Hot.
Hey, Mr. Random.
Hey, Mr. But yeah, no, that lots of pro tips coming out through the the voiceover, but again, tying a lot of this really for me is just tying the character and the themes to that archetype again, that story arc of the grizzled private investigator, the Magnum PI, the Rockford Files, the Matlock to some extent, or what, Columbo, right?
I always thought this show was a little bit of like the A-Team meets Miami Vice, but
yeah, that's definitely a definite vibe I'm getting. A-Team is very tongue in cheek too, right? If you think about it, in terms of how it plays out. But anyway.
So this next scene is great. This next scene is like one of the funniest scenes in the whole series, right? He leaves his hotel and walks up to two skater kids. And these kids are so excited to be playing like Miami Beach skater kids. You can tell, right? This guy's like, what's up, dog? Like, you can tell these kids, these actor kids are like, they're so stoked. Yeah, they're so stoked. But he pays them to tell the cops that one of the guys who is surveilling him asked the kids to sit on his lap. And the cops provide a distraction, and Michael leaves on the bus, like all waving from the bus. It's kind of
bye.
So next, he poses as a courier to get through security at the building of an old associate named Lucy, and he just tells you, you probably just get it by anybody telling him you have a package to deliver. Sandwiches also probably work.
I also feel like that's true today, and that's probably dangerous information, and that should be removed from the show.
Possibly.
Well, more prevalent too. I mean, one thing that is different between then and now is the prevalence of DoorDash and Grubhub and
right, because it would just be pizza or maybe like a Chinese food shop might have delivered, or it might have been like a Cuban restaurant that their thing was they delivered because it's Miami,
right? But, and not like all day, anytime, any time of day, whenever. Just walk in, and I got the best. I got the food you need. So anyway, but it's very, very true. You can. I was actually a car courier. Fun story. Fun fact. In Hollywood, back in the day when you used to have to drive scripts and other things around, and there wasn't like email and Google Drive and all this stuff, file sharing. So yeah, you can just get just about anywhere if you have the gift of gab and a package that's supposedly going to someone very important. Very, very easy to get through just about any security.
So, yeah, Michael poses as a courier to get through the security at the building of an old associate named Lucy. He gets into her office and, she tells her other associate to leave. She sort of protests, telling him he shouldn't be at her office because he's like radioactive, essentially. And then she's actually, after some time, I think because she's also flirting with him, or maybe he flirted with her knowing that she's flirting with him.
They made his eyes glitter at her. That was the fucking hokiest thing.
Yeah. Like, we already get it, Michael. We already get it that Jeffrey Donovan is a smoke show. Like, but they certainly lean into that. Definitely lean into that. So after his eyes sparkle, maybe he blinks his eyes kind of quickly at her. She says, well, she does have a job with someone named Sam, and then she gives him some money and tells him to fucking clean himself up, that he looks terrible. And he looked fine because he was in a brand new courier suit outfit. She should have seen the crappy suit that he got his ass kicked in. Like,
she's just being snarky.
Yeah.
Well, it has to set up the next, a couple scenes later, when we see him in the new suit and all cleaned up. But we'll get there.
Give him an excuse to expand wardrobe.
I got a very horny vibe again in this scene, and either these characters have boned at some point, or have certainly thought about boning, and
the tension is palpable.
The tension is palpable right after the sparkle in the eye that was absolutely created by the lighting person and the cinematographer. I don't even think that's in post production. I think they did that on site in production.
Yeah.
They're like, do that thing with your eyes where they sparkle. It's called practical effects.
That was very intentional. Yeah, right. So
this is weird because the first time I saw this show, I kind of assumed that this Lucy was going to be like a recurring character. And a spoiler, she only really comes back once more.
Oh, interesting.
Because there's a way in which this could have been like she was his on the sneak connection to like the mainstream or whatever.
Or Jobs.
Yeah. Right. But so next we meet Sam, played by Bruce Campbell, and he's on the patio of a restaurant or a bar. For him, it's a bar because he's just drinking, and he's, as usual, just oogling everything with tits and ass that goes by. Sam seems uninterested in the details of Michael's burn notice, saying that nobody tells him anything because he's a drunk and a washout. Then he tells the server to keep the beer coming. Sam brags about free rent, an ocean view apartment, endless Viagra, courtesy of someone whose wife he's fucking. And then Michael asks if he knows of a place to stay. So we've set up the character of Sam in like one scene, like almost perfectly.
It was very well written, very well written. And Media Lunch, I don't know about you or producer Dave. As soon as I see Bruce Campbell, right, there's a very immediate vibe I get, right? It's partly Evil Dead. It's just partly that cult kind of, camp kind of vibe, right? And so if I wasn't convinced by the grizzled voiceover, right, and the fun facts and the sort of setup already, I'm absolutely convinced now that this is going to be a very tongue-in-cheek show and that they understand that what they're doing and they're going to have a lot of fun with it. And that's how I should take this show, and not like serious, like, I have to really study this show and be very serious when I'm watching it, right? It's not The Wire, right? This is not The Wire. This is absolutely a different kind of vibe.
Bruce is the star of the show for me.
He's fabulous. What a great character they've already developed for him.
Oh, you're gonna like the dynamic between him and Fiona going forward.
Oh, very much. Seems very much like a great antagonistic relationship.
I already have my theories about Fiona.
I have some theories about Fiona, but I probably can't talk about them if my wife is going to be on this show.
It's the Irish accent, isn't it?
It's the Gabrielle Anwar thing. I think it goes back. It's like it goes back to the '90s. It really does. And so seeing her again and as an adult, especially playing an IRA veteran. Oh, it's just so, for an Irish Italian guy, it's just like,
you just want to see me drunk and blow shit up.
Yes, I want to see you drunk and blowing shit up naked.
So for this job, Michael goes to some mansion. You can see supercars and stuff as he walks up. Michael meets the client, a groundskeeper named Javier, who tells him about an art heist at the mansion that he is being accused of. Javier tells Michael he was at home watching TV with his kid when it went down, but that the alarm code used by the thieves was his code. Michael is kind of a dick to the guy, asking him if he's supposed to solve a $22 million art heist for $4,500.
So see, at this point, Michael is coming off as like the fucking Seinfeld of fucked over spies for me. Like, I really am not a fan of Michael yet. I mean, like, I'm just not. He's just, like, he's so overplaying a character that is supposed to be charismatic that has no fucking charisma for me whatsoever. And it's, like, cringe. Like, every time he says something that's fucking snarky and supposed to be funny, I'm just like, ugh, God. Can you shut up? Where's Bruce?
I think that's what they're trying to go for, though. I mean, they're really setting him up to be an asshole, and then they're going to start, as we'll see over the.
They better start his redemption arc real fucking early.
The second half of the show is actually all sort of softening of his personality, right, and his more humanizing of him, which we'll find as we meet more characters.
As he teaches a child to beat people up, sure.
Well, no, but yes, very much so. Because that's exactly that's all I was thinking. There was like, oh, what a nice guy. He's helping the kid with his bully problem. Like he has a heart, right? But in his own way, that's his way of having a heart, is teaching some kid how to beat the shit out of a bully. But anyway, we're gonna get ahead of ourselves.
So up next, we got Michael talks to the boss. It's Mr. Pine. I didn't go for Characters Welcome because that's not a cool co-star. That guy's just in everything and always plays a same kind of Miami rich guy, right? He's not a cool co-star or not a cool guest star. Just a well-known character actor. Plays the part fine though.
Ray Wise, Leland Palmer from Twin Peaks, Laura's dad. If you recall.
Pine tells Michael that the cops just blame the nearest Cuban or Haitian when any crime happens, and then Michael asks a few questions and is referred to Vince, the head of security. Vince is not amused with Michael, and Vince is sure that Javier stole the art.
I'm surprised that they gave Vince any lines and just didn't make him grunt the entire time.
Oh,
I will find moose and squirrel.
As you might guess, because Vince is not the hero, Vince ends up getting played, obviously, but that comes later. So next we get to see that the place that Sam hooked Michael up with, the landlord is a Russian dude named Oleg. At least his name wasn't Boris too. Right. They agree on $200 a month, and if anyone finds Michael there, he says he broke in. I have a couple friends who lived in situations like this in San Francisco. Oleg asks Michael to deal with a drug dealer for him because Oleg can't do it like he used to do back home in the old country because of immigration and the license for the club. Michael agrees to handle that. Oleg then asks Michael if he's the real Michael Weston, saying Russians used to think it was one name for like a team of people. Michael said, "Oh, no, it was just me." And then Oleg points out that we live in a new world now and says it's nice to meet Michael. Michael gets the keys and goes inside, and his phone rings.
I don't get the whole like super fucking killer fucking one person is a team of people spy vibe off. I don't get that vibe at all about Michael that he is.
Yeah, so far we've seen him get his ass kicked and then magically get on a plane and show up in Miami and then have such poor OPSEC that he had a wallet with his ID and his fucking emergency contact in it.
Right. Like, but again, we're getting set up as him being this cold-blooded killer, but you're right. Like, we didn't get any time to see him apparently doing the good spy stuff, right? Like, we didn't before he jumped right into this. So he's kind of been put off his game in a way, I think, and I think that might be contributing to how, he's reacting, responding. So once the burn notice really, has burned him in a lot of ways, and kind of
he's rather bumbling.
Right. That being said, I agree. That I'm not getting that vibe. But they haven't really set that up at all either, too, right? That we have.
The only way they did it was when he whooped those guys' asses, and then it supposedly shot them like execution style in the bathroom. But sometimes you just got to do that.
He got out of the situation. He did get out of a situation that looked like it was not going to end well for him. So we have seen that so far, but I also don't get the. But then this is also setting this character saying that, right? Oleg saying that sets up that maybe there is more to Michael than
maybe the legend, that was created or the myth around him was bigger than his actual accomplishments, and his name, just because it's Michael Weston, it's like the most American fucking name in the world. Maybe like the Russian spy agencies like just started attributing any spy action that they thought was difficult or whatever, started attributing it to him. We never actually find that out, I don't think.
Yeah, I also don't know, because I haven't watched the show, how much it plays out with the theme of narratives like that or legends, right, not being what they seem to be, right, or no, don't meet your heroes kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, your heroes are probably trash.
Right. So Oleg's probably heard, horror stories or bedtime stories about this Michael.
Probably bedtime stories. I'm surprised Oleg didn't invite himself into the fucking apartment with Michael.
Oh God, seriously, right? Like it's running really thick on both sides. So he probably got put to bed with stories about, Kaiser Soze or Michael, right? So there's this like legend that's built around him, but when it comes down to it, these are human beings and they're flawed and fucked up and sometimes really silly and do stupid shit. Just like any of us. So in a way, it's again starting that humanizing factor, I think, for Michael, that it's going to keep us coming back because, who would want to come back and watch this asshole for 128 episodes?
The thing that's going to make me upset is they're not going to talk about all of those cool fucking pinup girl fucking signs and shit in that fucking loft that he's getting for $200 a month.
Right. Those might be, you might be able to sell. eBay was huge in 2008. Who knows what those were worth? Also, that loft, even adjusted for inflation, man, holy shit, that's
it's a lot of square footage. That is some serious square footage.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful with all the windows and stuff. Anyway, so the phone rings and it's his mother. She asks for a ride to the doctor. He says he doesn't have a car. She says he'll figure something out. Michael is not happy. Not happy. I think he says that mom would have made a great communications officer in the CIA because she could just find anyone. And right. For all you know, his mom is in the CIA and didn't tell him. Right. I wouldn't tell him. Get me killed.
Guilt them into doing basically whatever she wants.
I mean, I don't know. I've only seen one episode. She could be in this. It looks like she's wearing a wig. So, I mean, there's a lot going on with her that we do not know about, right? So I'm interested to see as that onion peels open.
So Michael steals a large BMW sedan. He tells you about how he's nice to the people he steals cars from. Like, who cares? His surveillance team is following him. Michael mentions that he doesn't like stealing cars, and he tries to be as polite as possible. We meet his mom, Madeline, the mother from Queer as Folk. She's been in a lot of stuff, actually, but not a guest star. She's one of the main characters. She would have been characters welcome, but she's one of the gang. So Madeline immediately lights up a cigarette. Michael tells her not to smoke in the car because it's not his. And Madeline spends the entire trip nagging Michael. Michael throws her smoke, presumably the second one she lit, out the window of the car. Madeline complains that Michael missed his father's funeral by 8 years, and Michael says that he thought they had something on the books because last time he saw his dad said, "I'll see you in hell, boy." He then loses his tail, explaining that you don't need to drive fast, just erratically, but that but that your tail might get confused and make a mistake. He says that ideally you don't do this with a passenger, yelling at you about a decade of missed Thanksgivings. They have a discussion about how Madeline is a hypochondriac and Michael has been paying the bills for it. They pull up to the hospital. She lights yet another smoke in the car. Michael, and she goes into her appointment. In the car, Michael tries in vain to contact this CIA handler, saying if the handler doesn't contact him soon, the handler will hear from Michael. The mom is a character. She's great.
Presumably, she walked into the hospital with the cigarette.
Right? No, I'm going to waste a whole cigarette. Like,
No, she just lit that thing.
No, hell yeah.
Even back then, cigarettes were expensive.
Got my fill, yeah.
This was Miami. I think it was required that you smoke in the hotel in 2008 in Miami.
Well, another good indicator of time and place, right? Because this is sort of like on the cusp, right? What is it? 2008? When did this debut? 2005, 2007,
7.
So you're right on the cusp of a lot of cultural shifts, a lot of format shifts in television, moving to streaming. But this was sort of riding the wave of the big cable revolution, right after The Sopranos, and suddenly people realized, we don't.
Oh, and just real quick, you'd mentioned streaming. USA, if you remember, that a huge online presence during this time. They were like leaning into like internet culture and fandom and posting clips of the episodes before they come out. Yeah, it was all like, I don't know how you guys are watching it. I'm watching it from downloading a Linux ISO from the internet. And so I see like little ads for like in some of the episodes for like, want to learn more? Go to, USA.com/burn notice. And so like they were leaning hard into that. And this might've been one of the reasons the show succeeded, now that you mention it, actually, is that they were leaning into like internet culture. I think USA before a lot of other people were, actually.
Yeah, this
it's
is
streaming
right
on Hulu.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I'm watching it actually now. Yeah. Amazon was going to charge me for it. Thanks, Jeff Bezos. So I'm watching it on Hulu.
Thanks for nothing.
Right, and I have a Prime account, so that's not. I don't know what that was about, but anyway, this show is going to straddle a lot of those shifts. That shift in format, cultural shifts. Right. This was in at least in California, 2008 is when we banned gay marriage. And yet in the course of the show, that's going to get overturned, right? But you're seeing some really obvious stereotypes still happening, like in the mainstream. You'll see it's coming. Well, yeah, it's coming. It's coming all over us, very, very, very soon. So things like, and then of course, as you mentioned earlier, producer Dave, the tail end of the War on Terror, the 9/11 aftermath, and how that's kind of wrapping up and I think I think part of the tongue-in-cheek part of the show is a kind of a satirical vibe looking back at that, right, and at that point in time when we were realizing the folly of the War on Terror in the first place, right? So I think that there's a commentary here, as much as this is a lighthearted USA show, right, and it's supposed to be more fun and characters welcome. There is that kind of, I think, already an undertone happening here. There's that references to Afghanistan where he's like, it's sort of an aside. He's like, Afghanistan, right? It's kind of like this thing out there that's kind of a cloud that's lurking over everything.
And there's like a reference of like the end of the Cold War, and sort of Oleg sort of mentions like a change in the order of the world.
Yeah,
he says, "It's a new world. Welcome, Michael," or whatever. And it's sort of like a reference to the fact that the world is changing, and that maybe spycraft is changing. Although maybe we're looking too deeply into all of this, because this is fucking Burn Notice.
Probably looking way too deep.
That's fine with me, baby. Fine with me. So Michael returns to his place at night. I don't know what he did all day. Probably gooned. He passes through the line at the club. The club looks like it's cracking, by the way. Yeah. Oh my God. I'd have been like, fuck what I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get low. So Michael makes a fake bomb using some pipes, parts of a doll, some wires, a mouse trap, and some fertilizer. He puts it in a box and mails it to his former CIA handler, Dan Siebel. This is terrorism.
That's terrorism.
Really? I thought that was just, sort of like a message in a bottle kind of a thing, like, hey dude, hey bro, what's up? What's happening? Hey, my chain lever.
Just want to let you know, I'm in town. You're the bomb.
Right. You are the...
it's definitionally terrorism, right? He's trying to terrorize somebody by mailing them a fake bomb. We'll find out more about the lackadaisical response of his CIA handler in a little bit. The next morning, Michael goes to Javier's place and meets Javier's son. The son seems very interested in the idea of Michael shooting the bad guys. He should have told him that he already did. Shot 2 of them. Michael asks for half of the money up front, saying he'll follow the investigation where it leads. And then Javier hands him some money, and the scene cuts yet again to some Miami babes and some Miami music.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, the music is pretty on point. It's like pretty cool, like dance music. It sounds a lot like kind of Miami Sound Machine, like influenced and stuff. It's pretty. The music's good, actually. It's not like overdone, but it sounds like a party at Miami, like the whole time during the show. I think the music's, but of course, I like the music in this show.
Yeah, the titties are overdone, but that's just,
way too much. And I think they got some feedback on that stuff because even by the second episode, those sort of cuts to like the headless tits and ass babes are gone.
Yeah.
But those are my favorite shots.
So Michael,
I don't want to know that they're people.
So Michael walks up to Sam, who is, looks like a hotel pool. He's tanning and drinking a drink that you would think, well, anyway, he's drinking a very fruity drink. Where you would wonder why he was looking at the women earlier, but then now we're the ones doing the cringy stereotypes. Michael asks Sam about Mr. Pine's bodyguard. Sam tells Michael that the bodyguard washed out of the Rangers and ended up in a meathead mercenary private military contract group in Iraq. Michael says the best way to try to find the truth about the heist is to find the art. And Sam sets up a meeting with someone named Barry for Michael. So Barry, we meet Barry. Barry's really kind of Flavortown coded, right? Like he's definitely on his way to Flavortown.
I need some context.
Oh, Guy Fieri. He's like hella Guy Fieri coded.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
Diners, drives, and drive-in. So he meets Barry at a cafe with some type of Spanish language signs. We're assuming it's just Spanish-speaking people, whatever.
Cubans.
Yeah, Cubans, maybe. Michael says that Michael says as one of his spy tips, no matter what kind of criminal you're looking for, a money launderer is like the Yellow Pages. The problem is the money launderer, this is dumb because the money launderer ends up dead if they're like the Yellow Pages. Barry is quite the character. Michael asks about stolen art. Barry thinks that Michael's trying to like boost some art and sell it or buy stolen art. And he tells Michael it's a bad place to put his money, totally not understanding what Michael is talking about. And he seems to offer to hook Michael up with some counterfeit stamps and coins, which is fantastic. Michael explains that he's looking for someone who deals in stolen art. Barry hooks him up and tells Michael to remember who still helped him when he was down and out and gives him the info he's looking for. Strangely enough, Barry did not appear to be hitting on Michael.
No,
of all the opportunities.
Yeah, I think after you leave this scene, he's going to be hitting on the barista.
Possibly.
He started speaking to him in Espanol, so I think that they're gonna hit it off.
There's some ways in which going forward it's hard to tell if they're trying to queer code Barry or not, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit in this series.
So Barry's a recurring character.
Yeah, Barry's not one of the gang, recurring character. And again, like I didn't know the character's welcome for him because I actually didn't recognize him. I hadn't seen him. I didn't look him up or anything. He's not like obviously the rich guy and the caretaker. I've seen them in a ton of shows. They're character actors everywhere. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Michael returns home, passing through the line at the nightclub. It's fucking cracking every night there. There's two clubbers standing on his stairs, not quite making out. It was actually kind of a super awkward scene because it looked like Homeboy was like licking her neck and like she was just like looking around because she was on too many pills or something. But I don't know. Maybe I've done that. And so they ask if Michael is the new hookup and he tells them to scram. He goes, leave now. And they're like, all right, dude, whatever.
Get out of here, kid. You bother me.
Yeah. So
get off my lawn.
Go away, kid. You bother me. The next morning, Michael's phone wakes him up. He answers annoyed, thinking it's his mother. It's not. It's Dan, his former handler from the CIA. And he's sitting there with the fucking mousetrap ass fucking fake bomb that Michael sent. And Dan says he spent 3 hours with the FBI wondering why someone would send him a pipe bomb with no explosives. Michael asks what's going on, and Dan says that Michael's burn notice is eyes only. Dan says he personally thinks the burn notice is bull, but he's not in control of these things. Michael asks then to talk who to talk to, or that he might have to go to DC and raise some hell. Dan says not to leave Miami because he's on all the FBI watch lists, and if he leaves Miami, things heat up fast. Dan tells him there are still people in the agency on Michael's side, but if Michael pulls another similar stunt, Dan will not be one of them.
Don't burn your bridges, Michael.
100%. This is the Danny Glover character. I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
I'd say that's I'm getting all these vibes. I mean, there's a reason for it, because this is, as I mentioned before, this is a show that's drawing on a lot of archetypes, not stereotypes, archetypes, and from the genre. So they're basically nodding to all of this history and that they're drawing from with these characters and the setups and the chirons that you get, right? So this character totally gave me that, like, I'm going to be pounding Pepto-Bismol, trying to stay keep help my friend who I still like, but at the same time have to do my job for my bosses so I don't get whacked.
You stay out of this. It's too big for you.
Right. Yeah. Just lay low. Just lay low, man.
Lay low.
Just be smart. Be smart. Why do you have to be so crazy? Just be smart and lay low, and you'll be fine, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, sort of like if people have watched the X-Files, the Walter Skinner character at the beginning of the X-Files, where he doesn't know about the aliens, but he's enabling them. But he's like, I gotta answer to people, and you guys go do your crazy thing, but do your crazy thing so that I can answer to people. He's playing that role. And this is sort of like a renegade cop thing. That's like a renegade cop trope. But the thing about this show is that this show is not propaganda. As we go through this show, people will find that every time they encounter like legitimate law enforcement that is not spies, that they're idiots.
Yeah, it's a joke, or they're getting played in some way.
Right? Yeah, like the cops need Michael to come save the day or whatever.
Or they're easily fooled.
Right,
Very
or
much
just.
so.
Magically escaped from is also a thing that happens over and over again. It just cuts to them. They don't show the part where they escape the cops. So as Michael walks out after having this phone call, we meet Sugar, the drug dealer Oleg told him about. Sugar is exactly 2008 white drug dealer.
Sugar should have been played by Matthew Lillard.
Right. With bleached tips.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe Matthew Lillard 15 years ago, because Matthew's getting a little bit old here. But
Flea.
So Sugar complains that Michael chased off his customers, and as Michael goes to leave, Sugar kind of puts his hand on Michael. Michael keels over because he hit his rib cage, and we didn't know this yet, but apparently those people beating his ass broke his rib. Sugar then tells Michael not to start fights he cannot finish, so Michael grabs Sugar's wrist, says, "I will break it." Sugar begs, and then Michael leaves. Next, we meet the art dealer. Oh,
Walter.
Boy. Mm-hmm. Oh,
boy.
The art dealer also has a little sugar.
Oh, yeah. So his name is Walter, which is fine. And Walter, Michael has to pretend to be artsy fartsy, which is really funny, where he's like looking around and going, oh, and pointing at the paintings and shit. Totally contrived.
That's lovely.
They didn't even put him in a nicer suit for this or anything. He's still wearing like he's wearing like a bad suit, like he's still a Fed. And so he, Michael asks about the type of art that was stolen. He's like, hey, are there some hot paintings? He asks specifically about the type of art that was stolen. Walter mentions that there were some pieces like that stolen a while back, but it was all very, very hush hush. And then Walter offers to show Michael some Greco nude wrestling statues. Now, this is, was anyone besides Fiona hitting on Michael? Yes, this guy, but also this was super cringe. They didn't have to do this with this. They could have just made this guy gay without him giving you like Predator vibes.
You nailed it, Producer Dave. That was actually something I was going to raise, and as for your take on, you just nailed what I was thinking was, why does this have to be like this? Like, can't he just hit on him like a normal person, like the girl earlier who just said, oh, he's hot, right? Like that very, very standard straight engagement, right? Kind of a flirtatious engagement. Whereas this, why is it because Walter's so obviously gay? Does this have to be exactly like that, a predator environment or some sort of like, what does every gay person have to be a sexual predator? Is that how we're still vibing in 2008, right?
He's not like I got some Greco-Roman nudes down in my basement.
Right. Why don't you come into the well? Come in with the hot lotion. You know, like it does not need to be that way at all. In fact, and so yeah, very very cringe-worthy moment. And Michael's sort of embarrassed, kind of awkward, response. Like
that was actually good though. Like that was good acting, right? Because that's the exact face he would make.
That's the vibe. That's for sure. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I thought entirely unnecessary. And yet, I kind of poignant and telling of the time, like we were talking.
So
about
like,
earlier.
I think a better way to do this would like Michael walks in and the guy goes hello, right? Like, and then just the rest of it, play it like straight. Yeah. I don't mean like heterosexual, but like play it straight and answer his questions and be
play the scene, like read the lines of the scene, but read it with that intent, right? And that's what good acting is, right? You take something that on the surface isn't saying those things and you're infusing it with that in the way you're saying it, right? You can do it. And it makes it that much sexier too, and that much more impactful when it's done that way. This is just like this is a laugh. Like this isn't my only out and out laugh of the whole show.
The laugh isn't. The laugh is only that the guy's gay, right? That's the problem with the scene is that there are tons of scenes in tons of shows where gay people are funny, but the only thing that's supposed to be funny here is that the guy's gay, and it's.
And I was laughing because it was funny. I was laughing because I was just like, it was cringe, and the only thing I could do was laugh. Like, oh, these guys are. Why do you have to do that?
And for the time, I mean, I don't know, the Greco-Roman wrestling the naked Roman wrestling. That's so fucking weird. Just ask for his phone number, homeboy. Everybody else does.
Just you want to come in the back with me and check out some art? Like, it doesn't have to be all that nudie Greco-Roman.
Right. And that still would have been creepy, right? I have some stuff in the back if you'd like to come check it out with me.
Right. Like, but getting back to the meat of the scene really here is when at least I figured out, what was going on. I mean, I guessed what was going on with the crime, right? Like there's always on these shows, there's going to be the crime mystery he has to figure out, right? On every episode.
It's like Scooby-Doo.
Right. In the context of trying to figure out his burn notice mystery, right, which is the underlying mystery of the show and why we're all going to keep tuning in. He also is going to be solving something like this every episode, I'm guessing. And this is where, I thought, to me, I'm always willing to give myself up to the mystery and let things play out. And I don't try to deduce too much in advance. But in this particular case, it was pretty obvious who was it, who the real criminal was.
Yeah.
They've set it up very well. So when you find out in this scene that, oh, there was a guy who owned these pieces who was trying to shop them around and wasn't getting a market for them. It's like, oh, okay, I kind of get the sense of where this is going. And we'll find out. Yeah, because
he says it was one of these condo developers you see everywhere, which, by the way, was a very, very Miami gay guy thing to say. That like outside of the rest of the very gay developer. Miami art deal. Oh, he's a condo developer. They're
everywhere. They're everywhere. They're like life. They're everywhere. Can't get rid of them. Anyway, so in the context of this cringeworthy scene, they're actually like one of the most impactful pieces of whatever plot or has played out and has been, or exposition as we call it in the biz, has been given to you, the viewer.
And maybe the guy's just awkward and we're judging the art dealer too harshly. Sure, and maybe he was just like everybody else.
The vapors.
So Michael gave him the vapors. It is Florida. So Michael breaks into Pine's place. He explains that you should just look like kind of lost or confused if you break in somewhere, like you're a visitor and doesn't know the lay of the land. He said, grab a yogurt or something. The yogurt becomes a thing later in the show. And if you get caught just asked embarrassed, he breaks into the safe by cloning a fingerprint and he photographs a bunch of the documents and leaves. So here's like a Magic Mike plot hole that I saw here. And how did he, either they cloned the card and found out a key code, or he used Javier's, right? But then like nobody seems to notice that Javier had come in to the house or you know what I'm saying?
How did he get
like
into
in the
house?
Middle of the night?
Like, yeah, did they, I did, it might've gone pretty quickly. Maybe I missed it, but did they even show how he got into the house? They showed how he got into the safe.
They showed he got into the house using a key card and a code.
And it had to be Javier. It had to be Javier's, right? Unless was there a scene earlier? No, there was no scene where like he just he like bumped someone and stole their card or anything like, right? Nothing like that.
That would have been good if he'd have taken the security guy's fucking got at least tricked the security guard into giving him his credentials to get into the building. But
I mean, I guess ostensibly since the guy is still on the payroll, it's not bad. But like if he's going in there like late at night when no one's around, or when no one's home, that would probably be a red flag for me if I was the rich guy who did the crime. Oh, sorry, spoiler.
This is such an intense drama too. Now the people that already watched the show, presumably, that are listening to the podcast.
Oh man, they're ruined. It's just ruined. You should watch the episode before you watch this rewatch podcast. Just FYI, FYI, we're gonna spoil the whole damn episode for you. Anyway.
It used to be a spy where we give you homework first.
Right.
I think that when you see a rewatch podcast, you generally watch along, right? That's the
pre-watch. We can do a pre-watch podcast.
It's a pre-watch podcast. So Michael the next day goes to Javier's place and tells Javier that Pine stole all of his own artwork for the insurance money and tried to pin it on Javier. He shows Javier the documents showing that Pine's real estate empire is just a sham. I love that they just show like empty lots, like black and white photos of empty lots. That he needs that he needs the insurance money from the art. He tells Javier not to go to work and then tells Javier that things could get sketchy.
Foreshadowing.
Michael goes to Pine's place for a meeting on the back patio by the pool, and all this reminds me of, by the way, is that scene in Milk where I forget his name after they meet some rich guy. He's like, "Oh, I peed in your pool," and then they leave. But none of that happens here. Vince is at the sitting or standing with Pine too. Michael shows Pine the documents he photographed and tells Pine and Vince that they have a lot to talk about, and he leaves. But on his way out, not again a chance to miss doing something cringy. He asks Vince if the shirt he's wearing is available in a men's style, which again is kind of cringe. As Michael leaves, you can hear Pine freaking out, yelling at Vince.
And you can hear producer Dave cringing over that line about the shirt.
And always, I have to notice even the most minuscule and irrelevant fucking things in a show when you look at all of the uncovered crystal balls on the middle of this fucking table, and I'm just thinking like, oh, good way to set your house on fire. Put a fucking cover over those motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Pro tip.
So this next scene is the cute. The cell phone pop-up scene is kind of cute, right? Because Michael goes to the cell phone pop-up and buys 3 phones, 2 normal-looking phones, and one called Hello Sweetheart. When the guy with the pop-up asks up if Hello Sweetheart is for Michael's daughter, he simply said no. And the gal gives him a look. It was such a scene was kind of cute because he's just like, no.
No. And what is that though? What is the look she got? I mean, okay, it's kind of like cold response that he gave her, but like the look she gave him is kind of like almost suspicious. Like, are you a pervert?
Or I didn't peg you as gay.
I didn't peg. There you go. I didn't peg. Oh, interesting. The
art gallery sure was hopeful. Art gallery guy sure was hopeful.
He certainly was. Maybe his dart went off a little too early, but
looking to peg him and be gay.
Right. So, and is Hello Sweetheart, is that like Hello Kitty stand-in at this point?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe, or just like the name of a phone you'd buy a little girl, because this was pre-smartphone.
Oh, I would buy the Bad Baby that thing in a second if it had Hello Kitty on it.
Oh, Indestructible. It's like one of them Nokias that you just can't, that'll survive a nuclear apocalypse.
And that comes up here. Michael uses the battery and circuitry from the regular phone and the crappy mic from Hello Sweetheart that picks up everything to make a listening device. And then he meets Fiona at a restaurant. This scene is amazing. This is one of like my favorite things that happens. Like, and as you saw at the beginning, like during the intro, one of the things Fee says here ends up in the intro of the show. They have Michael and Fia have a conversation about Michael not being good at relationships. Fiona suggests that since Michael's in Miami, he should get a 24-year-old with big fake tits. And because this is Burn Notice, also she has no head or no face, probably, because that's how they shot all the people.
Perfect kind of lady.
How they would shoot images of like fat people for the news. They did this with like hot people for Burn Notice. But Michael admits that the closest he ever got to being in a relationship with Fiona. He says it couldn't work because she was robbing banks for the IRA. She rightly points out that a spy is just a criminal with a government paycheck. Michael makes 2 of the FBI's tailing Michael, and he points out a third one. And she asks, should we shoot them? And then pours him a bunch of sake.
They're always after her Lucky Charms.
Always. What did you think of Gabrielle Anwar's Irish accent in this show so far? Is it evolving? I don't know if it evolved over the course of the show.
Bad. I mean, it's quite bad. It's quite bad. It's quite bad. And
does it get worse?
No.
Okay.
They and I don't. We're not. This isn't a huge spoiler. During one of the later episodes, either 2 or 3. She starts just speaking an American accent, and then she says, well, it's bad OPSEC for me to go around talking like a leprechaun.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, this, I don't know. I was trying to figure out, is this scene and is this conversation, is this dinner date set up by Michael because he needed to ask her for this tactical support? Or is it, I mean, why are they having dinner if she's so burned on him, right?
Because she made him promise that they would have dinner if she ran interference for him in the beginning.
And that's already that's already happened. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, she's everyone.
This is the payback dinner that he's giving her.
I mean, just the only person. I mean, one of the rules is that you kind of have to have the hots for Michael. It's just one of the rules of the show, and she's got a history with them. So after dinner, Michael and Fiona arrive at Michael's place drunk. It seems like they're going to hook up. Then a guy points a gun at them saying Sugar wants them out. Michael says that Fiona has nothing to do with this. A dude tells Michael to shut up. And then Fiona says she can handle herself and absolutely fucking wallops the guy with a headbutt of all things. And then, unfortunately for Fiona, this kills the mood for Michael, who says violence isn't foreplay for him like it is for her. So this is sort of setting up that this Fiona lady, as much as you might be a little bit annoyed with her, is like a legitimate fucking badass, like an absolute legitimate fucking badass.
Oh, very much so.
And so Michael gets up the next day and walks this scene. This whole series of events doesn't make any sense, right? Michael walks to a hardware store and says the guns make you stupid, which doesn't make any sense because Michael buys a bunch of stuff at the hardware store, supposedly to take care of the Sugar issue, then ends up shooting Sugar anyway through the outside wall of Sugar's place. Michael then goes through the back wall of Sugar's place and tells him he has 20 minutes to clear out. And then he tells Sugar that if he plays it right, he might not end up walking with a limp. Like, why? He's like, here, guns make you stupid. I'd rather use a hardware store. And I don't, he uses a drill to undo some screws. And then he ends up fucking shooting the guy anyway. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, this all just seemed really silly and sort of a way to have a fun spy moment, but without it just really much making sense. He uses the duct tape, to, first he uses a stud finder to find where the sort of just plaster part of the wall is. Although this is an exterior wall, so there's not going to be a lot of spaces where it's just plaster. There's going to be insulation and other things, even in a crappy building. But anyway, regardless, he finds that spot on the wall outside the door where he can shoot this guy in the leg. I don't understand why he just, why don't you just stake out until the guy comes home or leaves his apartment, shoot him in the leg. And why do you have to go through this elaborate ruse of drilling a hole in his back wall and breaking through his wall? Because he's going to expect you to come through the front door after you shot him in the leg through the front door, but not through the door, through the wall it's just so unnecessary. The
only thing that I could think about for that was he wanted to show this fucking Sugar dude that he was so over the top and unpredictable that whenever he says you need to leave, he doesn't fucking argue. He's just like, you are fucking insane. I'm fucking out of here.
Right. That could be it. Yeah. And just, the scare tactic for sure. But it just seems like a really elaborate ruse just to get a petty drug dealer to go away. And I feel like, just dangling him off the roof of the building or something could or one of those. But that's too traditional. Maybe Burn Notice wants to think outside the box and really have fun with it. So,
well, if you're going to dangle somebody off the top of a building, you also run the risk of yourself being dangled on top of the building. So you might as well just keep everything ground level.
Very good point. Yeah. And keep it very low, where those shots were headed to. Right. So, anyway, Well, hopefully, Sugar gets himself treated so that Michael doesn't have a murder on his gun there.
So next scene, I tried to do play-by-play on it, but it was kind of dumb. This is the scene where Sam plants a bug, the Hello Sweetheart phone. This is like the giantest bug in the world too, right?
Right. How are they not going to see this? Yeah.
It reduced that car's gas mileage and shit. He plants a bug in Pine's car by having a cab driver friend of him set up a road rage incident near Pine's car. Sam gets punched in the face, falls into Pine's car, and plants the bug. While Michael's watching, and then there's that famous scene where he's the sun's behind him, and there's that plaster wall and whatever. He's it's like a scene they used over and over and over. Actually, he was there over and over and over again in the show. If anybody was actually trying to kill him, you just wait there because the lighting is so good, especially at the golden time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to call that out earlier. Just that epic shot. It was right after I think Lucy tells him to get a new suit, right? And then you see him with Sam or someone at that plaster wall with the portico in it, right? Just sort of looking all Miami, hey, hey, ladies. It seems like an iconic shot you're going to see quite a bit throughout the show.
It is a good shot. I mean,
well, he looks good, like you said.
Again, he's a handsome young man. He's still in a bad suit, but
even a sexy man in a bad suit is sexy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Can't really take that away. That was why The Good Wife says she watched the show, by the way. And Michael Weston is infinitely fuckable. I'm like, oh, great.
So Michael goes to
I
his
definitely
mom's.
didn't let you on this show.
Michael goes to his mom's place to deliver some medications. They argue again about her hypochondria. Of course she's smoking. In fact, her house is hotboxed. I don't know if you noticed this.
Yeah, no, I did.
They reminisce about Michael's brother in the old days as Madeline tries to get everyone together for Christmas. Madeline cries, and it's the one thing that Michael is defenseless against.
Oh,
Mom crying.
Yeah, it's the very sweet, humanizing moment right before he teaches the little kid how to beat up a bully. This is the other humanizing moment where nobody can resist their mom crying. That's unless they're god awful person, but that's one thing no one can resist more than likely. So just further humanizing of the cold-blooded guy that capped those two dudes in the bathroom.
So Michael's phone rings. It's Sam. On the bug, they heard Pine telling Vince to kidnap Javier's kid. Michael grabs some stuff from the garage, just random shit from the garage, and goes out on the street. And he just ends up carjacking some dude. This is great. He tells the victim it's not a carjacking, but friend, this was a carjacking.
It's you're not going to get your car back at the end of this, right? And you might actually end up in trouble, right? And I'm definitely going to end up in trouble or killing someone possibly. So that's absolutely what this is. And I love the MacGyver aspect. Speaking of the callbacks to other shows, right? I'm going to grab zip ties and I don't know what else, some gloves,
bubblegum, tinfoil,
right? And just run out and I'm going to look around and no, not that car. Yes, that car. But not tell anyone.
The only thing missing from that car, by the way, was the golden bird on the hood.
Yeah. Or the dice hanging from the rear.
So I think there were dice hanging. Oh, remember, and he gets in the car and he the
flap. The flap.
He's like, you got to get this fixed in the middle of the car.
That was a nice moment. I thought that I appreciated that as someone who really finds those kind of things annoying.
So in this situation, I'd be so much more at ease if Michael told me that he just needed a big car with no airbags. The dude who gets carjacked is pretty funny. He's a bit of a stereotype of a black guy, which is a little bit cringy, but the dude's legitimately funny. He tells him. He asks Michael where he's being taken. Michael says Little Havana. He's like, I don't want to go to Little Havana, and has to be let out of the car. Michael says he doesn't have time. The carjacking victim then talks about how there's a lot of cops, so Michael should slow down. So Michael then gets in a head-on collision with Vince's car. The airbag has knocked Vince out. Michael cable ties Vince's hand to the steering wheel and gives the carjacking victim Vince's wallet and watch, telling the guy to be somewhere else when the cops get there. This is what I'm talking about, collateral damage.
Yeah, it's not only is he taking this guy's car, holding him at gunpoint, crashing this really nice muscle car into the piece of shit econo car that Vince is driving because he works for a guy who has $22 million or $200 million or whatever. And then not only that, leaves him there, but also like, here's some evidence that will, that will label you as the criminal who did all of this shit, right? If the cops ever come looking, like your fingerprints are now all over this guy's wallet and keys. Oh, bye. Peace out. Right? Sorry, this wasn't a carjacking at all. It's like the guy is now a criminal, aiding and abetting, and doesn't have a car. So I think that qualifies as jacking.
Yeah.
Who's gonna believe this story, right?
I mean, yeah, no, a black person giving that story to the cops in Miami. What? I'm sure they'll listen.
Stole my car and gave me a grip of money and a watch.
Right? I'm so sorry, Mr. Black Person. We're so sorry.
We didn't know that a fucking ninja came through.
Right. We're so wrong about we're so sorry about the historical wrongs we've done to your people, and we will now listen to you and treat you with respect and believe that you're telling the truth. Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Yeah, presumably the car's like registered to the guy,
Oh god, yeah, right. This poor guy, he's fucked. He's completely fucked. How does he?
This happens. This is a theme in the show, actually, is that just like random like bystanders, bad things happen.
Oh, and like I suppose the white man handed you the guy's wallet and watch, right? I suppose this mystical white man who jumped into your car handed you this guy's watch.
No, officer, it wasn't
sure,
me.
Bro.
It was a crazy white. It's a crazy white guy in a suit.
I mean, I believe it regardless. The guy's black, and I'm a white cowboy cop either. So, oh man, that would be
like the guy at the beginning with the motorcycle was bad enough, but this is way worse.
Oh, sorry.
So Michael shows up at Javier's place, and Javier's son is there alone. So Michael takes Javier's son back to his loft and calls Javier to tell Javier not to go home and to come get the kid. Michael offers the kid a yogurt because that's just what you eat. That's what everybody eats. That's just what he just, he grabbed one out of Pine's fridge. It's just yogurt all around, baby. Yogurt all around.
Is yogurt going to be the food of the show, like scrambled eggs were for The Sopranos and coffee is for Sons of Anarchy?
And apple pie for Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Yes.
And apple pie for yes.
Yes.
Every show like this has a food.
So Michael notices that the kid David has a black eye. The kid tells Michael that he's being bullied and starts crying. Michael teaches the kid some self-defense tactics, and I'd call this like a cute music montage. Actually, sure. It's cute. It's cute.
Like Karate Kid,
So this next scene is this is great. We find out that Sam is a fucking snitch. Sam goes to meet with the FBI guys for coffee, and just totally gets busted by Michael. Michael just walks in and sits down, and then the FBI guys leave essentially. And Michael and Sam agree that Sam should just be giving the FBI enough info to keep them happy, but also stay out of Michael's business. I don't know. Sam be snitching.
Man cannot survive on hoes alone. He must have a little bit of side gig.
He's looking out for himself too. He mentions that they're sitting on his pension as a former, like that. I guess that's Sam's. He's a former spy, right? He's out of the biz, but he wasn't blacklisted, so he got out of his own volition, retired. Right now, he's doing like freelance, ogling of women and drinking, and occasionally helping an odd spy who has been blacklisted, right? But as part of his penance or whatever, to make sure he maintains his pension, much like my mother had to substitute teach for many years after she retired in order to maintain her pension. he is required to snitch and to at least inform in some way the feds about the things he sees and encounters. So. But yeah, if Sam remains a key player in this show, I'm guessing that he's not going to completely burn Michael, like what I did there. So, and that it will be a situation like this where they're kind of using this opportunity to maybe misdirect or mislead in fun and madcap humor kind of ways.
That is likely. So we're getting to the end here. Michael goes to Javier's place to booby trap and fortify it, which is fantastic. He says, if you know people are coming for you, I don't know why people just wait around. He's like, they just expect you to be sitting there being like, please shoot me. He's like, don't do that. So Pine and Vince show up. They kick down the door and Michael's standing there all casual, like just sort of leaning up against the wall. Vince threatens Michael with a gun and they end up fighting and the gun ends up on the ground. Vince almost kicks Michael's ass, actually. Pine picks up the gun. The booby traps Michael set up make it appear that there's a bunch of gunfire, and Pine acts hell of dumb, obviously not knowing how to handle a gun. And during the scuffle, basically Shadow, as Michael and Pine are fighting, Pine shoots Vince. And then Michael makes sure Pine's prints are all over the inside and outside of the gun, and he shows off the booby trap gun, and then he shows off the gun that was used to shoot Vince and says, "Ooh, this is Exhibit A," or something like that. and then Michael tells them that Vince will admit to the art heist, and that Pine will set up a trust fund for Javier's kid. This assumes that Pine has any money left after all this.
Well, yeah, didn't we just get set up that he was losing money or hemorrhaging money from his businesses,
right.
And he was doing this art heist deal to get solvent again. So maybe he might not have any money at all to help with the whole trust fund situation.
But I'm glad the bodyguard got shot.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he definitely deserved it. This is all very elaborate again, and it's like holy to like holes all over the place, but including the booby trap gun, like I didn't understand. So it shot blanks, but it didn't shoot, or it sounded like the real thing because they're blanks, I guess. But how was it activated? Was it voice activated?
That I don't know.
He has a phone attached to it, but it's like it's plugged into like some C4 kind of stuff that he put on the outside of the gun, and I don't understand what it was. It was very MacGyver.
I feel like it was like voice activated. People start yelling, stuff starts getting loud.
It goes off, right?
Yeah, maybe even gunshots. Maybe there's
another gunshot. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So Michael and Javier meet. Javier thanks Michael, and Michael leaves. But the episode isn't over.
No.
Michael asks the FBI guys for their binoculars. They like act like they don't. He's like, but you don't need them. I'm right here. And he uses them to watch Javier's kids stand up to the bullies and beat up the leader of the bullies. And not for nothing, that kid whooped some ass, like in that scene.
Sure, he's getting down and like pounding on the kid too, like
ground and pound.
It's not just like one pop to the, like George McFly pop to Biff's face, like and down. No, this is like, I'm going to jump on you and keep pounding you until you are, you will know, you will call me daddy. Again, I love that scene. I don't understand why the FBI guys need to be a part of it at all, or the binoculars, right? Like when he went to ask for the binoculars, I'm like, what's his game?
Maybe they were guaranteed a certain amount of seconds of screen time,
or
in the pilot.
lines. Yeah, their SAG contract might have necessitated it. But yeah, that's not necessary at all to me. Like he could be standing there on the corner behind a tree or leaning against a tree, watching and just smiling. Like there don't have to be any words in this scene at all. In fact, like you know exactly what's happening. It's playing out. What's been set up already. So he could just be watching and smiling, or maybe like a tear comes to his eye, right? Like that kind of thing. That would have been.
Michael doesn't cry.
I know, but that would have been a perfectly fine scene. This just seemed like just extra baggage that didn't need to be there, right? To fill out like an hour-long show. I don't know, but also it's concerning to me in as much as, again, I'm a writer and I'm thinking about, okay, again, this is the pilot, right? Like, so one of two things is happening here. Either A, they thought about it way too much because it was the pilot, right? And like I said, it was written by committee more than likely, right? And so everyone wanted to get their scene in, and some guy more than likely had an idea about this binoculars scene, right? At some point they want to get it in, and they bullied their way to getting their scene in. Or it's frivolous and they weren't thinking enough about it, and that makes me kind of worried, because if you're thinking about the pilot, you should be thinking about every scene and being economical and making, like, this is the only episode you might ever get, right, of this show. So go for broke.
Why do you need filler?
Why do you need filler? Exactly. Why are you not? Why do I know who the criminal is halfway through? Because it's not important, right? That's sort of what they're saying too. This is more about character.
Yeah.
And we'll maybe get to it in the end, but the criminals, they weren't interesting or cool in any sort of way. They were dumb fucks.
Yeah.
No,
correct.
they were very, very blah.
So
the show ends. I think the end scene is actually pretty good. It's like a pretty good way to like end a pilot, because Michael goes home and finds a bunch of surveillance photos of him, not from the FBI though, because the FBI is in the surveillance photos. So they're watching the FBI watching him, and there's a brochure in the middle of the floor that says "Welcome to Miami," and then it cuts. And I think like that was the best scene on the whole show, was that last scene, because now, I don't know, depending upon how you actually thought about the first episode of Burn Notice, you might be like, what's going to happen now? Who left all the photos there?
Oh, Fiona did, because she's the one that issued the burn notice.
Hey.
It's his mom. That's how she knew he was in town. She's already spying on him. The FBI guys are just smokescreen so that he doesn't know his mom's the one doing the surveillance.
No, see, so like the whole thing with like, she gives the speech in the very beginning. You've been out of town. You're bad at relationships. You should go talk to your mom. You have all this, blah, 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 blah. Fiona's the one that is pushing all of this. She's the one that issued the burn notice. I've never seen the show. I have no idea, but that is my prediction.
Right, because she was just conveniently... Well, I guess she was his emergency contact, but she's like a fucking gun runner. What does she just have? Keep the same cell phone number just in case Michael calls? I mean,
yeah,
what the fuck?
She didn't have to show up.
And then she kicked him.
She did it all just to get him. Yeah, to get him back. She did it all to get him back in her life, basically, right?
And to get him back.
To force him to be in Miami, right?
Yep.
Right.
Permanently. Like he can't run away.
Right.
Again.
So she can get his mom harping on him. Oh, I want grandkids. Me.
Oh, you're either a fortune teller, or this show does a lot of telling and not showing.
Oh, yeah.
Literally spitballing. I have no idea.
Oh, it's coming.
I have no clue.
That mom is set up that way too. Although the wig is, it's definitely a wig. It's throwing me off. Like I'm thinking, like, does she have cancer and she's not saying something about it? Is that what the illness is? No, she's just a hypochondriac. But something's going on. There's something happening here that's yet to be revealed with mom. I don't know what it is, but I'm suspicious.
So we got stuff to talk about after. Did you enjoy the show?
Yeah.
It was fun.
I enjoyed it in as much as it's something that's going, like, I know it's a pilot. The first season sometimes is all the way into the second season. It's kind of on shaky ground because you're really trying to build characters. There's a lot of fucking schmutz that you got to walk through in order to get there sometimes. So I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, but holy shit, there's a lot of benefits I'm giving this show.
Oh, Councilman?
Yeah, I enjoyed it in as much as I enjoy a good cop show, but which is the sort of, it's the general genre I put this in. But again, this is
it's like a police procedural kind of
but from the perspective of the grizzled, outsider, right? Like the spy, the private investigator.
These people are criminals.
Right, the less than ideal narrator, less than reliable narrator.
Even mom's accessory to Grand Theft Auto at this point.
Right, right. So that appeals. I've always really been drawn to those kind of stories. The killer with the heart of gold kind of story. So that it's intriguing to me in that way, and sort of picking apart the archetypes and the genre itself. So that's fun as a writer. Is it a show that I would like pick up and binge myself? I'll watch a few more episodes and let you know, but this is certainly something this is certainly very familiar space to me, and very like warm, fuzzy space, because these are the kind of shows that The Good Wife binges and watches and loves. So I end up, and as any married person knows, you end up watching what your spouse watches. I don't watch a whole lot of stuff on my own.
It's probably not out of line to say that people will hear The Good Wife soon, and she'll have some thoughts.
She'll have
about
thoughts.
the episode.
She's going to have plenty of thoughts about the show. So she's looking forward to coming on. But yeah, this is certainly something I could see us enjoying watching. We're going to watch a lot together. We wanted to watch the pilot together, which didn't work out. But we'll be watching a lot of these episodes together, no matter who comes on, more than likely. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's fun. It's taking me back to like a moment, like I said, in time. A lot of changes. Changes were happening around this time, right? And we're still feeling the effects of those changes. So I think there'll be some opportunity for commentary on those things as well, which is what's great about art.
Mm-hmm.
So we already touched on this, but I'll ask anyway. Was the bad guy cool?
No,
Laura's dad never cool. Kind of a dork.
Super generic bad guy.
Yeah, schmoozy bastard dude, and just so obvious too, with like even the audio from the snooping device, right? let's go kidnap that guy's kid, right? It's just very heavy.
The only thing he was missing was the English accent.
Right, and he needed to tear off like someone's mask his mask needed to be torn off at the end, and it's revealed to be he's Buddy Hackett or something, right? Like,
and not for nothing. Like, it never showed them in his car ever, but they had these conversations, all of them. Like they did this plan in the guy's car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but like whatever.
But yeah, I mean, not terribly cool, but I'm sure there'll be more. It's Miami.
So here's a fun one. We have only character syndrome. It's like a version of the what's the name of that rule? Where like do women talk about to each other about anybody but a man in the Bechdel the Bechdel rule or whatever. Anyway, but this is a different version of that. It's the only character syndrome. Did anyone in the gang have any conversations with anyone else about anything that doesn't have to do with Michael Weston during this show?
No.
I don't recall any that didn't have some sort of indirect connection, whether it's through the case or the storyline, the plot. I don't recall any. I'm sure there will be, but it seems like a very centralized, character-driven show. Like this is.
Yeah, this is the pilot. It has to be about Michael, because if you ain't watching it for the main character, then there's, you're watching it for Bruce Campbell.
Right.
Did they dress Michael well?
Meh.
When he was dressed.
Him, I mean, for the for the time being, sure.
Okay. No. Yeah, no.
I don't have fashion sense, so I really don't. I mean, look at me.
They always put him in like these sort of muted suits with not a lot of color and stuff, and it's sort of weird. It's like a thing that I noticed throughout the show is like the best episodes also coincide with where he's dressed really cool. There's this one where he's wearing this red and black suit. That's like the best episode of Burn Notice, but it isn't because of the suit, but it's also because of the suit. So it may just be that they put him in like a bad suit, like a Fed would wear, because that's sort of what he's used to wearing or something. I don't know. It
just makes him stand out, though, is the thing. Like, there's even a line in this episode about, like, you got to go someplace where you don't stand out, so you see who stands out, who's following you, right? So he goes to the Girls Gone Wild hotel, but he's still in the gray.
He was wearing the same suit as the Feds.
And he looked exactly like them. So I'm like, wait, but you look like that. So I'm not really getting that whole thing right there. Like,
right, being able to spot them is all well and good, but what if they have a hard time spotting you?
Right. So from Nigeria to Miami, right? He stands out like a sore thumb in that suit, in that the outfits they're putting him in. So if he's trying or they're trying to make him more covert, it's not helping at all. It's more overt in how they're dressing him. But again, tongue in cheek, satire. I think that's more what they're going for here than they are serious, spy shit like Mission Impossible, where you would get capped if you made a mistake, right?
Yeah.
Like so far, he's made enough mistakes where he'd be dead if he was a real if this is a real spy show, right? So they're already taking media.
It could have ended with his gun runner ex-girlfriend just murdering him in his hotel room.
Yeah. And that would be a great start to the show. Like, oh shit, they fucking killed the main character in the pilot. What comes next, right?
The show's about Fiona.
Then you tune back in, and then the show's about Fiona and Sam, right? So maybe that's an exciting show. But anyway, we'll see how this whole thing plays out. If they're going to keep this Michael character going, I guess.
So the next one's about cringy stereotypes. I have 2.5. I think the Boris and Oleg together make like half of a cringy Russian stereotype. But then obviously the art dealer that we already talked about. But then like it was kind of cringy, the guy he stole the car from too. I thought the guy was funny and he seemed like a good actor. Like no shade on the guy, but the writing, it was like, oh, I'm black, I shouldn't go to Little Havana. Oh, I'm black, there's a lot of cops around. He just sort of played up like a stereotype of a black guy in like a lot of ways. And he was the only character of color really in the show with any lines.
Yeah. Well, sorry, go ahead. Media Lynch.
And then there's the overbearing mother. There's the ditzy titty girls. There's like the oh shit, I had another one. I can't think of what it was off the top of my head. But yeah, there's
the Irish gun runner.
The Irish gun runner. Yeah, it's like if it wasn't for the for the for the cringy stereotypes, there would be hardly a show.
Right. The only person I think wasn't like a cringy stereo, although like who maybe should, the money launderer guy, he was like just some kind of dork, right? Like, he was like kind of like a little bit Flavor Town coded, but also like computer nerd sort of coded, where like you'd think the money launderer, if they were going to do a cringy stereotype, it would have been some Italian guy, right? Like straight out of like
Jersey,
straight out or out of the Sopranos or whatever. But no, it was Barry. It was Barry. You see Barry later. Barry's a recurring character, and Barry is he's like not even as good a criminal as Michael Weston.
It seems like this was written in a way for me, like for the straight white dude, right? Or sort of like from my perspective, like the writer's room is probably a lot of me.
But I also wonder if that was on purpose, but it was just a little too on the nose, right?
Maybe. I mean, it's also it's USA, but it's still network TV, and there's still, like I said, there's a writer's room, right? Like there's a writer on each episode, and the pilot is more likely written primarily by the creator of the show. But even they are working in a team, so it's never a singular vision. So there's always going to be pressures of the Zeitgeist or whatever's going on in the world, that kind of thing, and the vibe of the world at the time that gets into these shows, no matter what, no matter how iconoclastic they try to be.
Mm-hmm.
Did this show take itself seriously as an actual spy show?
No, I don't think so. And that's the fun of it. I think they know that too, and they're very conscious of that from the get go. Like I said, from the very first couple scenes.
It's like they're trying to with the little spy tips, but even then, those are a joke. Except for the thing where it's like people never wipe off their thing after they do the fucking fingerprint thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's fucking true. And that's probably something that you should take into consideration if that's what you decide to use for your type of home security. Make sure you clean those little fucking pads, man.
Right. Yeah, I think the other ones were kind of cheesy, like the telling you that like undercover work is a lot of waiting. Well, that's not just spy shit, right? That's cop shit too, like a stakeout. That it's a trope actually in cop shows, right, where they're doing a stakeout and the car smells like farts and Cheetos and like
right, they got like the Naked Gun scene, right, where the pile of pistachios outside the door, and then but you don't see it until they get out of the car, right? They're just sitting there eating pistachios and throwing the shells out the window, and then they go to get out and the door is blocked by all the seeds because they've been sitting there for 2 days. It's a gag in that movie, but it's very true. It's very true.
Yeah, that one and like the I have never found a way to hide a gun in a bathing suit was also like a pretty kind of funny one, I suppose. But that was just an excuse to show the babes, all the good looking people in Miami.
Right. But absolutely more butts and boobies.
No shit, that's I guess that's the end of our pilot show of the pilot of that show. That was
kitties and boobs. Boobs.
So people watching on the Patreon, there's the Media Wenches cat. People listening on the podcast, you're not gonna get to see the Media Wenches cat. So maybe join the Patreon or at eplex.store so you can catch the video recording of this. But that was easy. I mean, it took me longer to do the outline than I thought, but I think they crammed a lot of stuff into this first episode.
Right. And it's a pilot where they should cram a lot into there because like Councilman said, you don't know whether or not you're ever going to do one of these again. And that was kind of one of the main things about the pilot episode of The Sopranos was if they couldn't release it and get it picked up as a series, it was going to be a movie. And so you have to kind of like take all of these things into account because you don't want to lose that piece of work that you invested in because it's an investment to make a show, especially a pilot. And that's like, that's a labor of love because again, you don't know whether or not it's going to be picked up.
This would have never been a movie. Although they did make a movie about the backstory of Sam that maybe we'll check out at some point during this. So I guess that's a show. Thanks both of you for doing this with me. I was worried that this was going to be hard and that we weren't going to be able to fill time, but that we're right a little over an hour here. So this is actually fucking perfect.
I always make it hard for you.
Do you guys well, no, I'd forgotten, Councilman, that you have some background in film and stuff. So it was like interesting to hear your input actually. And, I guess that's the show. Do you guys have anything you want to make sure that people can follow you or whatever if people have suffered through to the end of this?
I think Media Wench dropped her socials earlier. I'm actually on Blue Sky now. You can find me at PJ Allen TWO Blue Sky. That's my now councilman / merge with my secret identity on Blue Sky, because I'm not worried so much about what people think of what we say here anymore. I'm kind of tired of worrying about what people think.
Just send people to this Burn Notice show. Be like, this is the show I do on there. What are you talking about?
I did. No, I posted about it today. And I'm very excited to be back again at another time. But maybe the good wife and I can trade off. But we'll be watching avidly. And you can always catch me elsewhere on Down Ballot and other Echoplex shows. We'd love to see you there. And Media Wench, as always, so good to see you and to podcast.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun to do shows here where there is just more than just two hosts, right? Especially having like a revolving cast of hosts that are interested in, this. We don't do stuff about,
or especially that are not interested in this show. Those are the kinds of hosts that I mostly want.